Hi everyone, and welcome to the REFSIX Weekly. Today I'm joined by John, my regular co-host, and we have Riman Nasuri, the new member of the REFSIX team, to chat about him coming on board. So how is everyone doing? All good?
All good.
Yeah, all good over here.
Yeah, brilliant. And Riman, you're based in Denmark, so football's starting soon next month as well?
The cup games, the friendly games are starting this weekend. So brilliant. I think a lot of referees is going to be out and refereeing this weekend. Yeah.
And John, we've got a couple more weeks and then everyone in England can get out and start refereeing again too. So exciting. So for those who listen every week, what we normally do is chat through kind of some incidents. And there was really one major incident from the Champions League that we're going to cover. Well, there was three incidents all in one incident. So we'll talk about that. If anyone hasn't seen the Champions League games last night, so that was the Dortmund Seville game and the Juventus Porto game, you missed crackers. So definitely go on YouTube and watch the highlights. They were incredible. But yeah, let's talk about Dortmund Seville. The referee was Turkish referee Kunut Çakır, probably, in my eyes, one of the best referees in the world, maybe top three. Like, incredible referee. And probably the best striker in the world right now, or the guy I most like to watch is Erling Haaland for Dortmund. And this incident involved both of them. So, John, you've been studying this in depth. So, talk us through play by play what unfolded.
Just before that, it's interesting you talk about the referee being one of the best in the world. Steve McManaman pointed that out as well yesterday. So obviously a pundit pointed out that he's probably one of the best at the time when he was at the VAR.
Yeah.
So Dortmund are on the break, quite a quick break, and Dortmund whip the ball in, and Haaland goes down to a challenge, and the referee waves play on. Seville then goes straight back up the other end, and Dortmund win the ball back, and then it's another quick break. So it's gone end to end. And then Haaland's got the ball on the left-hand side of the box, shimmies his way in, and he's reaching maybe about the penalty spot and comes sort of shoulder to shoulder with the defender. And the defender goes down, and Haaland now runs into the 6-yard box from a tight angle and squeezes the ball in. So their referee's asked to look for a foul that Haaland has committed on the defender for pushing him too much, using more of his elbow and his arm rather than a fair shoulder. So they then disallow that goal for the foul, but they look back at the challenge on Haaland from about 90 seconds prior to that. And then they give the penalty to Haaland for a trip in the box, I think it is, or a shirt pull. So it's an upper body offence, but the keeper's got the ball. So it's, if that makes sense, the ball's going to the keeper and they're maybe about the 6-yard box and they're fighting for it on the 18-yard box. So it's not a genuine, or it's not a dog side because Haaland's not in control of the ball. So the sanction is a yellow card and a penalty to Dortmund. Haaland then steps up and misses said penalty. And then they go up the other end, and I think it's Hazard is fouled, and then they go back and retake the penalty because the keeper is adjudged to be off his line. And then Haaland scores the goal, and then Dortmund go 2-0 up, and that is the carnage that unfolded in 7 minutes.
That's interesting. So, like, some of the stories are crazy, right? The stories are blaming VAR that this madness happened, and I watch it back, and I'm like, actually, this is basically the whole process of VAR working exactly how it should be. The thing that probably made it madness is that these things happened so quickly, and they were all just, I don't think we've ever seen it before, right? So there was a penalty call, the ball hadn't gone, if the ball had gone out of play after that penalty challenge, nothing would have happened because they would have reviewed the penalty and given the penalty. But like you said, the break happened, they came back, and then they scored, and then the VAR has adjudged that there may be a foul. So Çakır is sent over to the VAR booth, had a look, said, oh, it was a foul. VAR said, hey, by the way, there was also a penalty incident like before, so we need to show you this. He looks at that and says, yes, it's a penalty, gives that. So crazy. Let's talk about each individual incident. So penalty, I think, John, you mentioned it, that the ball wasn't going to go into Haaland's, he wasn't likely to take control of it. So that's why it's not dog's eye. But do you think it was a penalty, Ramon? Is that enough of a penalty for you?
Yeah, I think it's a penalty. I think it is. Well, we have the best referee on it, and he saw it, and it's also a penalty. So I guess it's the right decision, right? So
Yeah, no, I think that was an easy call.
yeah,
I got to be honest. I thought maybe he could have seen it in real time, but probably the pace of the break probably caught him out.
yeah,
But then the goal being disallowed is an interesting one because it looks shoulder to shoulder, but it looks like Haaland's maybe not really in the shoulder, but slightly more in the back. I would have been okay if Shaqiri looked at the video and said, actually, yeah, I don't think it was a pen. I don't think it was a foul, and I'm going to allow the goal. And Shaqiri is actually, from the last World Cup, was one of the referees who looked at a VAR incident and said, no, I'm happy with my decision. I'm going to stick to it. So he has got a history of doing that. But in this case, he didn't. He did think it was a foul. Do you think it was a foul, Ramon?
yeah. I think so. I think it was a foul. Yeah, I think also that was the right decision. So two right decisions. So yeah.
I think
You can argue for it. It can go both ways. In the end, it's your decision, and I think, in my opinion, I think he took the right decision.
Yeah, I think in the end it is the right decision. I think you could have maybe got away with that, but as soon as the VAR shows him it and shows the angles, I think it's really tricky.
When you see it in slow motion, when you see in slow motion, you think, oh yeah,
John. But you weren't sure. You thought it was harsh.
Yeah, my style is that, like, he looked like the defender was going down, or he crumpled quite quickly. In my opinion, if I was selling it on a Saturday in my game, it's a goal. There was only really one complaint, and that was the guy that went down. Everyone else was sort of more like, okay, fair enough.
The interesting thing was the pundits. I think it was Steve McManaman again. Was like, well, the defender had a horrible time against Haaland, and he just thought the best thing to do right now is just fall on the floor, which I thought was a fairly accurate representation. But in the end, the penalty was given. Penalty was missed. Fabulous save by the keeper, double save, but then that dreaded came off the line. The keeper wasn't booked for coming off the line. That's a new change amendment for laws of the game this year, which says they can have a warning first. So that's if anyone's thinking why was he not given a card, that's that one. And then the other interesting piece that John, you mentioned earlier, was around the reaction by Haaland after he did score.
So Haaland got booked for the celebration because when he scored, he went up to the keeper and sort of like give it the beans. But if you look at the clip, interestingly, the keeper makes the double save, stands up, and Haaland is behind him, and the goalkeeper makes an action to Haaland to mock him. So obviously, my question to you guys is, Haaland has been booked for his celebration for doing the identical thing as the goalkeeper. So why are we not booking the goalkeeper for the same celebration?
Yeah.
Well, we know that VAR cannot go in and say that's a yellow card here, right? And if we look into the clip and we see that the game is still on and everybody having their back to the goal and running towards Dortmund's field, right? So when everybody does that, including the referee, he has his back to the goalkeeper and Haaland, and you see that the goalkeeper goes to Haaland and says something. The referee didn't see it. That's why I think he didn't book him, because VAR cannot go and say, listen, this the goalkeeper did this to Haaland. You need to book him. We cannot do that. So
yeah, I think you're correct, Ramon. The only other thing I'd add to that is the reaction of. There wasn't a big reaction of Haaland to the goalkeeper when the goalkeeper made that incident, when he made that gesture or comment, right? But when Haaland did it, it caused such an uproar from the Seville players that I think there was a need by the referee to have, well, one, he would have seen it, but two, as soon as there's such a big reaction, the referee really has to look like he's doing something, and that's why maybe the yellow card was shown. But we're guessing here. We're watching it. This is us observing.
So my question is, on a Saturday, you see the goalkeeper do that to it's normal time. The goalkeeper saves the penalty and he's giving it the big ones to the attacker. It's a fair save. There's no retakes involved. Do you then book the keeper for, I'm assuming it'd be unsporting or I'm sure it'll be unsporting behaviour or dissent. Yeah, rather than dissent by word or action. So are you?
I think
your games booking the keeper.
I think it comes down to what he says, and if I hear what he says, if it's just some form of like, soft sledging, goading, like, like, you think you're the best in the world, but I just had you kind of thing. I'm okay with that, right? Like, that seems okay. It just depends how offensive or not the term was. And I bet you Haaland didn't say anything different. He probably said exactly the same
thing. He did,
thing.
yeah, no, he did. He said in his post-match interview that he did. He said the exact same thing back.
Yeah. But when you see the goalkeeper, he saves a penalty, and then he saves one more. The adrenaline is just pumping in his body, and then he just comes out with a reaction to Haaland. So yeah, I think it's a normal thing. And I, again, as Hassan said, it depends on what he said. Maybe he said something that is it didn't mean that much, but I don't know.
And the reason, and then you've got to think of safe refereeing in my eyes. The safe, easy caution is to give Haaland a caution. It calms the Seville players down, and Haaland doesn't care. He just scored a goal. They're winning 2-0, and he'll accept it. So it kind of, even though there were two of the same incidents, they were treated slightly differently. And I think in football, this is what I would call the art of refereeing, right? Is knowing when and when not to get involved. So super interesting incidents. If you haven't watched it, get on YouTube, watch it, because it is a really interesting one. And the only other thing I'll say is we mentioned that Shaqiri is one of the best referees in the world. He was so calm during this whole process. He just doesn't look like anything phases him. So, gotta be one for some major finals coming up, I'm sure. Cool. So Rimon, we'll move on to you. For those who don't know, Rimon, maybe Rimon, do you want to give a background of why you're on the podcast? Maybe talk about the journey to get here.
Yeah. Well, I started Ref Level back in 2017 here in Denmark. Ref Level is, at that time it was a competitor to REFSIX. And basically it has some of the same functions, features as REFSIX. You can start a match, record incidents, so on and so forth. I've been working on it since 2017 while having a full-time job. So I didn't have that much time to do some coding and development. Also was missing the resources, but I had a good product. Danish referees used it, still using it, so long story short, I'm with REFSIX today because
so we started talking back end of last year during the pandemic, and we basically had a conversation to say, hey, how good would it be if, we kind of join forces and try and tackle this problem that we both are obviously passionate, because like you said, you were working part-time on the product, but had a load of users looking at and using it in Denmark. And then we were obviously full-time, and, we could give you that opportunity. So really cool to have you on board. So this is something that we're announcing on this podcast. We're going to have a blog post about it, and Rimon joins us. He's going to be the Chief Information Officer and Head of Business Development in mainly the Nordic markets, but we'll see how we get on. But working full time now. Talk us about your refereeing career.
I started refereeing in 2012 in a town called Horsens, where I come from. And I've been refereeing since then. Moved to Aarhus, I don't know, maybe 2016, and so now I'm a part of Aarhus Refereeing Club. I am what you call in Danish a 03 referee and a 02 linesman. An assistant referee on CS2, and I enjoy a lot being a referee. I love going out. I'm going out on Saturday for a 9-against-9 match, and I'm looking forward to that.
And why is it 9-against-9? This is due to the Danish regulations around COVID, right?
Yeah, well, you cannot be more than 25 people outside to get it together. So I guess if it's 11 against 11 and a referee and the coach, then you will probably more than 25 people. So they changed it to be 9 against 9, so you can have some reserves as well, substitutions.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And that's just for friendlies, not going to be for the league, right?
You never know. You never know. Maybe in a few weeks they change it to 35 people, and then you can suddenly play 11 against 11.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, very cool. Very cool. John, did you want to ask any specific questions?
Yeah, in Denmark, do you have the same system of us with sin bins and stuff? So obviously for what do we sin bin for, Hassan? Descent. Yeah, for descent. Yeah, for descent, we obviously sin bin them for 10 minutes. Do you have that sort of system in Denmark as well?
Yeah, well, Denmark was actually the first country that had it was a test country for sin bin. So we already started before everyone else here, and yeah, we have it, but it's a bit different from what you have, because every yellow card is actually 5 or 10 minutes. So an 11 against 11 match is 10 minutes, and I guess maybe 9 against 9 or 8 against 8 is going to be 5 minutes. So yeah, we kind of have the same system. I think the lead referee is using more the sin bin system than we are.
So it's being used in the top levels or not?
Not with the 10 minutes, but the sin bin A and B systems, and not the 10 minutes yellow card. Yeah, not the
very interesting
time. Yeah.
So how is it? Because now, so you're basically saying any foul, any reckless foul, you get 5 to 10 minutes off the pitch. So does that mean like you've seen a lot less yellow cards being given over the last few years, or is football still the same?
Well, I think it's up to you, because maybe before, when you didn't have the 5 minutes or 10 minutes, you would consider giving a yellow card quite easily or really quick. But now, when you know this player goes out for 5 or 10 minutes, you maybe consider your decision. But again, it depends also the behavior of the player. If you can see he's just pumping with adrenaline and like yelling or screaming or whatever, yeah, you give him probably a 10 minutes yellow card to go out.
Very interesting.
Yeah, so it's kind of your decision, but of course a yellow card is a yellow card sometimes. So
yeah,
you cannot change that.
I think that's fascinating, because basically, just historically, so IFAB created 2 systems so we keep calling it sin bin because that's from rugby, but the real terminology is temporary dismissal, right? And so IFAB said, basically, we've got 2 systems. System A, which basically every yellow card leads to a temporary dismissal. And system B is, well, the federation can choose a specific reason for a temporary dismissal, and that's a whole new system. So system B is what England had adopted, and we've said any form of dissent that will result in a 10-minute dismissal. But any other yellow continues. So now results in the do you think the English grassroots players would? That was to you, John.
Oh, sorry.
Heard that.
My internet went down.
Yeah. So my question was, how do you think the players at our level would react to every yellow card being a sin bin?
It'd be carnage, utter carnage. Like my last game before lockdown, I gave 8 yellows and a red. Like, can you imagine 8? I think I had 4 yellows in the space of 5 minutes. I'd have no one on the pitch. So
yeah. Because it's interesting, and I come back to England. So England, if players get a yellow card, they actually get a fine. They get a £10. I think it's somewhere in the region of like £10 fine for every yellow card, even at the lowest levels, right? But in other countries, so in Portugal, I went and presented a referees association meeting, and I showed them our app, REFSIX, and they saw the amount of yellow cards I was given, and they were like, "Oh, that's really low. You only give like 2 yellow cards a game." I'm like, "Yeah, why?" And they were like, "Oh, we give 7 or 8 a game, and that's good." And it turns out they do that because there's no real repercussion. You know, you don't get a fine as a player. you do still get the totting up process. So if you get 5 in a few games, you get a ban, etc. But that's really interesting that, it's something that I've taken for granted, that we give fines to players, and therefore, actually every time we get that yellow card out, it financially impacts a player, not just, gives them a warning in the game. But other countries don't do that. I don't think they do that in America. I don't think do they do that in Denmark? Do you know?
No, it's actually between the players. If we say if someone gets yellow card, you have to put like 10 kronen or whatever it is. So and I saw just some guys made an app to keep track of all the yellow cards for the specific club for the players, and in the end you can see how many how much they put in each of them.
So that's like a little club fine system. Yeah. It goes in the Christmas party budget. Yeah. That's very cool. Yeah. Well, this goes in the county and national FA's budget for Christmas parties. So that's probably the difference. It gets paid for a Christmas party somewhere. It's just who attends is a different story. So cool. So Rimon, welcome to the team. I'm sure you'll be popping up on different podcasts as we go. Rimon, unfortunately, is a Man United fan, so so I'm sure there will be lots of controversy, lots of penalties to discuss related to Man U in the future. So thanks for joining, and hopefully everyone out there will feel the benefit. There you go. we'll feel the benefits of Rimon joining the team when it comes to the development of our app and continuous updates. So great. The last thing that I wanted to touch on to everyone listening, I know some people are already users of our app and listen to the podcast for some light entertainment, maybe some education, I don't know, or maybe just to make fun of us, who knows. And some listen for everything, but they're not using our app right now. So if you have a compatible smartwatch, a Samsung, an Android watch, or an Apple Watch, our app will work for you. If you just want to use your phone to record our games, our app will work for you too. But we have an exciting announcement, and if I had some fireworks, I'd blow them out here now. Over the last 6 months, we've been working on another watch platform. We were inundated with emails and requests for Samsung. Since we got Samsung, literally our inbox started to flood with Garmin users. So Garmin is a new watch platform that we are supporting. We are currently beta testing our app with I think just around 50 to 75 Garmin early adopters using the app, giving us feedback. It's still very early, but we're hoping to have the final product out in the next, few weeks to a month. But if you would like to be a beta tester, to try it out, give us some feedback, we have a Facebook group. So just search REFSIX Garmin Beta Group on Facebook. I think that's what I named it. Join, just put in your REFSIX username, put in the watch that you have. We'll add you to the list. You'll get 30 days free of REFSIX Pro, which is basically all of our functionality, where you get the heat maps, sprint maps, and a variety of extra features. And then you get to test out the Garmin watch. You may be furloughed at home and looking for something to do, test out the watch. You may have some games coming up depending on the country. So watch some Champions League games, try it out, and if you're comfortable, use it in some games. But if you are a Garmin user, please stop by our Facebook group, REFSIX Garmin Beta Group, and we'll get you on the Garmin Beta. So pretty short and sweet, this one, John. Should be pretty easy to edit for you.
Yeah, it should be a nice one.
And for those listening, thanks for taking time out of your day again. We'll be back next week with something more fun and educational and instructive, something to listen to. So take care, and thanks for your time.